Yeah, thank you all for coming. This is really lovely. We are recording it. This is my show, A Guide to Therapy for Terrible People. I took it to Brighton Fringe last year, and I was lucky enough to get a 5-star review and also be nominated for Best Newcomer. And I'd only been doing comedy for a year, so if you don't like this, just be happy that you're wrong. It's okay. Everyone's allowed to be wrong. It's fine. I work in education. I'm aware. So I haven't done this show in ages, and I've had to write it down on my hands. So this is going to go well. So thank you for coming. As Hannah said earlier, said that I'm one of 2 married people in the room, so this is going to go well. I got married almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and the problem with that is, don't tell my wife I said that, but the problem with that is, I really love my wife, but the problem is that's not funny, so I have to pretend, and I'm aware I've really tried to make loving my wife funny, but it doesn't. We even still have nicknames for each other, which is really cute. She calls me Marshmallow. I'm aware why. It's fine. It's because I'm round. I'm sweet, and we like to play a game where she tries to fit as much of me in her mouth as she possibly can. She just fucking hates being called Chubby Bunny, which is. It's true. She hates that joke, but not as much as this one. So I'm one of the bisexuals. There we go. We do exist in this gender. You don't see it as often. We are more like a unicorn. But sorry, the thing is, when I came out as bisexual, all my family were fine with it. But then I decided to marry a woman, and then they got confused, as if that's not one of the options. And I had to kind of explain to them, and I was like, is it all right? So I Googled it, and it's fine. I am allowed to be married to a woman and still be bisexual. I just have to get pegged once a month to keep my subscription, which, as you can imagine, is a pain in the arse. But I do get to keep the gay card, though, which is helpful. There are benefits. My wife hates that joke too. But I think she's just jealous that she's not the only one who bleeds once a month anymore, which I'm aware is fucking wrong. It's like a gunshot wound. This show is about being a terrible person, Exhibit A. And so essentially what happened was, when I got married, I didn't realize that was stressful. And I had a bit of a mental breakdown beforehand, and I went to basically I managed to get therapy in 3 days, which in this country, you know how spicy it was when I was able to get that. And I just disagreed with the therapist really about all of my problems, and I basically said to him, clearly this isn't going to work because I'm awful. And he said that was kind of proving my point. But what I decided to do, and we came up with this together, is that I would write a comedy show to prove that I was too far gone for therapy. That's not meant to be yet.
I know, I didn't mean
it. Just press left. Other left. There we go, thank you. Fucking hell, spoilers! Jesus, Saul! Giving the game away. The brilliant thing is, the ones that haven't seen this show before still have no fucking idea what that was. So I had this to do with my therapist, and I said I'll convince people that I'm terrible, too far gone for therapy. And so what we're going to do is, at the end, we're going to vote. And if you agree that I'm too terrible, then I don't have to go to therapy anymore, and I essentially win therapy, which is great. But I have to. So the problem with this is, yes, it seems a bit like gratuitous. But I really hate my therapist, and like, especially this being filmed, I have to be very careful what I say, like legally. Like, I can't really tell you much about him, but his name's Mark Farmer, and he's a cunt. So how much of a cunt is he? Let's see. So he lives in Leeds, but that's not enough. You can tell the people that live in Bradford that thought that was the punchline. No, he lives in Leeds, but he owns an art gallery, which that should be enough. But he owns an art gallery in Exeter. What's worse than art? Art you can't even see. Useless. He's mute, but that's not why I hate him. So it means we have to do all of our therapy sessions via Scrabble. Which is fine, but he once tried to misdiagnose me with schizophrenia for the points, which I think is just fucking horrendous. So now you understand how much of a cunt he is, and you'll be on my side. But what we're going to do is, are there any scientists in? Yep. So we need to clarify terms, because what I think is a terrible person might not be what you think is a terrible person. So we're going to play a game. Is everybody up for a game? Good. So, has anyone played Play Your Cards Right before? Like, the higher or lower game is what it's really called. Yeah, so we're going to do that, but with cunts. So, I have taken the liberty of production values. There we go. So, we're all going to see what these cards are. There are various cunts on them. And then you're going to decide if the next cunt is cuntier than this cunt. So, this is Lemmy, who is obviously very low on the cunt scale, because he's the ace of spades. If you think that's bad, it's going to get rough. Do we think the next cunt is cuntier than this cunt? Yeah. Higher or lower? I will say that like, how this goes is genuinely based on you guys. So, no pressure. So the next one is the Four of Diamonds, because that's Sean Connery, because diamonds are forever. Told you they get worse. Do we think the next cunt is cuntier than this cunt? Yes. Higher. So that is that's Vladimir Putin of clubs. Starting to get worse. Do we think the next cunt is cuntier than this cunt? Lower. That's the two is lower. That's David Tennant. The Two of Hearts. If you get that joke, you're a fucking nerd. So I'm not going to explain it. Do we think the next cunt is cuntier than this cunt? Higher. Okay, we've got the Joker. Still, one of the greatest achievements of my life is making sure that fits perfectly. When I retire this show in a couple of months, I will be framing this. So, do we think the next cunt is cuntier than this one? I mean, it doesn't really count, does it? So, I've done this show for 18 months, and I still can't remember this guy's name. But he was in the local newspaper for... oh, shit. I saw Saul crawling. And... okay, so... Thank you. There we go. So this guy is in a local newspaper, as he is the self-confessed most hated man in Milton Keynes. Do we think the next cunt is cuntier than this cunt? Higher. Okay, so we've got Margaret Thatcher, who is the Queen of Hearts. I will let you make your own jokes about that. So the last one we'll do slightly differently. So the last one is higher. Now I want you to guess, and if you've already seen this show, shut the fuck up, because it'll ruin this bit. Does anybody think they can guess who is higher than Margaret Thatcher? Only one person's ever got it right. Obviously, it's me, upside down me, because I am the worst, and if you haven't worked that out yet, you're at the wrong show. So that's me. Nobody's ever awed before. It's a fucking joke. Has anybody ever been to a zoo in Germany? Nope. Good. So I was backpacking through Europe once, and I stopped off in Munich, and I went to a zoo. And in the zoo, there was a guinea pig enclosure. Now, most people don't know what's happening next, but so there was a guinea pig enclosure where they'd created like this little town for the guinea pigs, and they'd made a little town square and a river with a bridge, and then a hill with a cross on top. Now, again, most people don't know what the punchline to that is. But I was stood there for about 30 seconds and thought, why is there a cross on a hill in a guinea pig enclosure in Germany? And I thought the only thing that could possibly be the answer is that in Germany, Jesus is a guinea pig. And we can go to the next one. There he is in his glory. But then I thought, what would be weirder? Would it be weirder if if Jesus was a guinea pig, but the rest of the people in the Bible were just normal? Or what if they all changed? So I took the liberty of taking this well-known image, and we're going to go through them and what I think they would be in Germany. So we all know everyone. We'll just click through them. So the first one is Simon. Everyone knows Simon Gregson from Coronation Street. Then the next one we have is Thaddeus, young NBA All-Star. Then the next one we have is Matthew Kelly. The next one we have is Philip, or to give his proper title, Dr. Phil. Then we have, so there's two Jameses in the Apostles. There's James Major and James Minor. So this one's James Major, son of politician John Major. The next one is Thomas, or as most of you know him, Tom Cruise, because he's in fucking everything. Then this one's John, but you might not be able to see him there. It's John Cena, which that actually got a laugh in this room. Doesn't always get a laugh, and then I have to try and explain. It doesn't. Then the next one is my personal favourite. It's Judas, because he's a fucking rat. Then we have Peter, who's a rabbit. Then Bartholomew, Simpson. And then actually, really my favourite one, which like I said, there's two Jameses in the Bible. There's James Major and James Minor, but that's Andrew, and Andrew is sat next to James Minor. My favourite thing, you can do the next one. Yeah, there she is. My favourite thing about this is I didn't paint his hands like that. He's the great thing is, when I did this in Brighton Fringe, when I wrote this show, I didn't know that the Queen was going to die, surprisingly. And Brighton Fringe was the week of his coronation, so that was awkward. But what I realised, there they are. I do sell them in canvas after the show if you would like. Brilliant thing about this is it just confirmed my long-held belief that the Last Supper was at Pizza Express, which we can go off that now. Thank you. So like it's fine. So like the issue with this show and having ADHD is remembering your set, because I've got an hour of material and I'm not always kind of on board with it. And the problem is that I'd do that bit sometimes and I'd actually forget my set. And then it'd be a game between me and the audience as to who's going to work out first that I actually have forgotten it. And can you just do the next one? Yeah, just one. That's fine. That's two. Yeah. Okay. I feel like I'm still at school. That's two. Don't make me get to 3. Okay, 3. Go on. It's fine. Do one more. Do one more. There he is. Yay! That's okay. One of the jokes later will not make sense. It's fine. Right. So, really glad this is being filmed. I'm originally from Bradford, so obviously I'm a criminal. And so when I was 17, maybe 16 actually, I got arrested for the first time when I was hungry and I decided to steal from Tesco's, and I stole a Cadbury's cream egg and a Tesco value mini Swiss roll. And then they called the police because Tesco, I don't know if they still have, but they had a policy at the time where no matter the cost of the items, they would always press charges because every little helps. And the coppers came and they were like, clearly you're just hungry, and like I ended up being taken to the police station, and the guy, the copper on duty, felt so sorry for me that he gave me the lasagna that his wife had made him for his lunch. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that I wasn't that hungry. I just really wanted a cream egg. But I also really like lasagna. And it was pretty good, to be fair. There's that one. There's also, does anyone know like Bradford from like the olden days? Like the 90s. I mean, the olden days. So there was a shopping centre called Kergate, and in there was a W.H. Smith's. And in W.H. Smith's, there was 2 levels. And I worked out as a 16-year-old that there weren't any cameras in the stairs. So I worked out that I could get a Mars bar and then walk up the stairs, put it up my sleeve and out the other door. And then I was really smart because I worked out I had 2 hands. And I could get 2 Mars bars. And then I worked out my hands were big enough that I could get 2 in each hand. I was flying too close to the sun like Icarus. And I once tasted freedom, which tastes a lot like nougat and caramel covered in chocolate. And I felt a hand on my shoulder that was the security guard from Kergate, who, it was a long time ago, but I'm pretty sure he said you nicked. And I turned round and he looked like a security guard from Kergate in Bradford. So and this was back when I was like 16, so it was before the crippling Mars bar addiction. And I thought, I think I can take him. So I went, no, and shrugged him off and sprinted for 4 steps. When he caught me and dragged me back to the W.H. Smith's office. And I think it's clear that I've endured some embarrassment in my time. But nothing quite as embarrassing as being caught by a man with a higher blood pressure than a giraffe, which I did my research, it's because of the neck. And then got sat in the office, essentially, and they had to write out a form, and this was 2005 or something, and she had to write how much the items cost, and she put a £5. Now you'd think that I wouldn't be in a place to bargain, but I went, I know W.H. Smith is expensive, but it ain't that fucking expensive. And I made her go and check the recommended retail price of a Mars bar so that it was put down correctly on the form. Yeah, like I say, I've always been a bit of a not always. I have stopped, but I've always been a bit of a criminal. Like technically, the first time I ever got in trouble was because I wanted to talk to a girl at school, and I didn't really know how, so I spoke to my friend and I said, "How do you get them?" Thankfully, he didn't tell me like a net. It was. He said that women are like magpies. I was like, if you get 2, that's joy. which I will confirm it is, but that's not what he meant. He meant that apparently they like shiny things, but again, I'm from Bradford, so I'm poor, and I thought, what am I meant to do? Like, I'm wanting to get this girl at school, and I thought, right, let's just steal something. Obviously, that's what you do. So I had a rummage through my mum's jewelry box, and right at the bottom, I found like a grubby little ring. It was like Lord of the Rings. And it's like, yes, this will make her touch my willy. It didn't. So I took it, thinking she's not going to miss this. It's a grubby little ring, and then it turned out it was the ring of power. And I went to school and gave it to her, and she went, oh. And that was it. And I didn't know anything different until 3 days later when the police arrived at my house. That turns out it was grubby because my gran gave it to my mum when she got engaged. And I'd accidentally stolen my mum's engagement ring and gave it to the girl at school. And my mum was obviously trying to scare me by calling the police. And I was like, I get it. It's fine. I won't do it again. And then they put the handcuffs on. I was like, this is going a bit too far. And then they put me in the back of the van. I was like, right, yep, definitely scared now. And then they asked if I wanted a lawyer. And I said, why? Because the victim is pressing charges. You mean my mum? Legally, we have to call her the victim. So I spent the night in a cell, and at that point, the greatest moment of my life was not crying, because I'd just seen The Shawshank Redemption. And I thought if I cried, I'd get dragged out of my cell and beat fuck out of. But I didn't. It was all fine. The next day, I went to go get the ring back, obviously, and she said no. Finders keepers. So I was like, what the fuck are we going to do now? So now she's going to call me Marshmallow until the day I fucking die. I should clarify, because even some comics on our scene seem to think that bit is true. I didn't marry the woman that I gave her. It's just comedy. Again, I'm trying to tell you how I'm a terrible person, all of the terrible things that I've told you. When I was at university, for example, I lived in accommodation with other students, and one of the guys decided to leave his door unlocked for the week when he went home. Bad move, especially when you got me. And I found out that you can buy quite a lot of cress online. Turns out it grows quite quickly, but it turns out what I wanted, like the volume that I needed, you needed like a license to buy this amount of cress. It's called like a cress pass. It's weird, and like you have to. So I cressed this guy's floor, and he came back to a field in his room. But I wasn't even the weird one in my friendship group, because he actually went and one of my friends went and got a sheep the day before and put it in his room. So he came back to a grazing animal in his room. And that's where you don't leave your door unlocked. Yeah, so like I say, I work in education now, so I have to be very careful about what I say. But one of my old jobs, I was a support worker for adults with learning disabilities, which is an amazing job. If anyone is considering do it, it's incredible. And what you realise when you start that job is the only difference really between yourself and the person that you're supporting is that you get a badge, and that you get paid slightly more than they do, because the amount of times where they have corrected my work, and I'm like, thanks, man, that's really helpful. But like having ADHD, like you don't want someone constantly asking you questions, which is what they did. Because, for example, they would say, we were walking through Bradford Interchange, and they could see like on the signs there's the Braille signs. And one of my customers said to me, "Oh, Joe, do you read Braille?" I was like, "No, but now I need to for some reason." And I tried to learn Braille for 2 hours. Harder than you think. I hadn't even closed my eyes, and it's still pretty hard. Don't fuck knows how they do it. But that feeling I get is what I call my Braille dread. That it's like I just constantly like have this thing where I need to do something like, and I need to be really good at it. Like I once just took up watercolor. There's 2 watercolors of mine in the world. That's it. Stopped it. So technically, the one that my friend has of her house is priceless because it's limited edition. But yeah, that's that one. Yeah, so like, so this show really is based on my trauma from getting married. Shouldn't phrase it like that. My kind of like long-standing depression and all that kind of stuff, like it was pretty bad. Like, you know how they say like you cry in the shower? I took one step further, and I drank wine in the shower from the bottle. Did what I call a reverse Jesus, which if you let it sit, turns wine into water, doesn't it, Felix? Yeah, so like, clearly I'm not a well man, so just like Dan. But like, so I partly because of the ADHD, partly because I'm a bit of a twat. I kind of did what everyone else did. Like after, it's like I went to A levels, I did university. I moved in with a 52-year-old French woman. Just me. Yeah, so it turned out after university I wasn't allowed to move back in with my parents because I crashed people's floors, obviously. So I had to find somewhere else to live, and I ended up finding somewhere as like a house share, which was lovely, but it meant that I met this French woman called Veronique who was batshit crazy. But like, and I thought, oh, I speak a little bit of French, like 621 days on Duolingo. Genuinely true. Proud of that more than anything. So I was like, oh, it's going to be great. Like, and I was wanting to be a vegetarian at the time, and I just wanted to like, I thought I was going to be this better person when I moved in. We'd just sit around eating vegetables, speaking French all day, and I was like, this will be amazing. And then that's not what happened. And I tried to connect with this woman because weirdly we didn't have as much in common as I thought. and I just bought an iPhone, and I was like, I'm funny. This is before I started comedy, so I wasn't. And I went, Veronique, come here. Look at this. Hey Siri. Sorry if anyone's phone just went. It has happened once before. Hey Siri, where'd you hide a dead body? And it gives you a list of local canals, quarries, rivers in your local area. Genuinely true. But also, what I didn't realize is that Siri is more intelligent than I am, because that's what it tells you the first time you ask it. And I beckoned over the 52-year-old French woman that I just moved in with and said, what's this? Where'd you hide a dead body? What, again? Really difficult to come back from that. Not gonna lie. So the problem, like, back then I was single and I was unhappy. I was in a job that I hated. Like, I'm lucky now that I'm in a job that I love, but back then it was just shit, and like everything was piling up on top of me. I was living in this room that I kind of just stayed in. It was a bit like a little cave, and like, so obviously I'm overweight. It's fine. But like, I really liked Domino's at the time. And does anyone else know what a double decadence is? So Domino's double decadence is where they have one thin pizza and then a layer of garlic cheese sauce and then another thin pizza and then the toppings. I was having a large one of them because you can't buy them in medium for reasons. With a side and a drink because it's more cost effective. 3 or 4 times a week. And that's pretty bad. Like, I'm not going to judge other people, but at the time, I couldn't really afford it because that's fucking expensive. But like, it was really harming my health. But the problem was, like, because my roommate / landlord was a vegetarian, I had a lot of guilt from the fact that I was getting essentially the most fattening thing that I could possibly put into my body. But then I was also topping it with what they call a meat fielder, which should never be the name for anything. Still don't even know what the pun is. Like, genuinely, what is the other one of that? Anyway, but because of that, I had the shame, and I left the pizza boxes in my room. And again, I wasn't very bright at the time, so I didn't realize that was going to attract mice. And if you've ever had mice, you will understand. I would not wish them on my worst enemy. They are fucking horrendous because they do not leave. Especially when you don't move the pizza boxes. And the problem with this was, like, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy and a vicious circle, because the more I'd kind of leave them, the more I'd feel bad, and then I'd eat more pizza, and then I'd eat more pizza, and then I would feel bad, and then I was living in, like, my room was in the attic, and there were, like, cupboards under the roof, and I'd store them in there, and I'd hear the mice at night, and so would my landlady, and it wasn't kind of great, and she wasn't in the best kind of mental state, and neither was I, so we didn't really look after each other, we didn't really understand what was happening, and it kind of built and built and built, and then she hung herself in my bedroom, which I'm aware isn't funny, but it is true. Now, with someone with undiagnosed ADHD that likes to talk to themselves and has to constantly be thinking, that's not a great thing to be thinking about. Because that's the real reason that I think I'm a terrible person, because I somehow managed to end someone's life by my own negligence. That I couldn't look after myself. I couldn't even look after the person I was living with. And it really kind of took a toll on me for many, many years. And it's only been over the last 18 months that I've actually been able to kind of come to terms with it, because not one action makes someone a terrible person, really. That, yes, I should have moved the pizza boxes. Does that make me a murderer? For at least 2 years, I genuinely thought that. I ended up, like I said, I hated my job. And to prove that, the first thing that I thought of after ringing my cousin, who is like my sister, was I rang work to explain that I wouldn't be in the next day. So this was a Monday night. And I rang her, and the first thing she said to me was, "You're going to be in Wednesday, though, right?" Genuinely true. Yep. And I was. And then she did if anyone has ever had a return to work with a manager before, you'll understand my pain that she did the whole kind of, "You okay?" No! My landlady hung herself in my bedroom, and it's my fault. And I just, like, unloaded onto, like, my manager, and just, like, everything just came out. And it was just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I was like, my landlady hanged herself in my bedroom. What the fuck am I meant to, like, of course I'm not okay. Like, I can't update a spreadsheet whilst I've got this in my head. And it just ended up, I was there for about 20 minutes, just like spraying kind of thing from my mouth. Just kind of couldn't speak quick enough, really. And then eventually I paused, and she said, "Actually, it's hanged." And I was like, maybe I'm not as much of a cunt as I thought I was. So this show has been essentially my way of getting through that situation that happened 8 years ago. And I'm like, after Brighton, pretty much every show after Brighton, someone came up to me and said, "Are you okay?" So I should clarify, I am okay. I couldn't do the show if I wasn't. But I realised earlier that we said we were going to vote. Doesn't sort of feel like the vibe anymore, does it? So, and like really, I don't need your validation to tell me that I'm terrible. I know the things I've done, and I know what I'm responsible for and what I'm not responsible for. So maybe I don't need a vote. Maybe I need something else. Maybe something spiritual. Like I know that there's these last 18 months I've been comforted. Like obviously I've been married for 18 months, but there's also been someone else in my life for 18 months that has really kind of spoken to me, and so I wonder. Actually, I might go off book. Fuck it. Yeah. Instead of voting, would it be okay if we prayed? Because it sort of seems appropriate, doesn't it? Like I say, this was completely unplanned. But maybe we could pray together. Like, see if there's anything else on here. One more. I mean, in my unplanned thing, I thought there was going to be music there, but you can hear it there, but it's not coming out here. It's a really good joke, isn't it? Yeah. Or if you could hear it. Or it's essentially, imagine that I'm like a youth pastor, and like there's like acoustic like worship music in it. Yeah, it's beautiful. Really glad I paid for the professional video service. But we are going to pray together. I hope that's okay. I mean, I feel a bit... Maybe, actually. I did come from work, so that's why I'm wearing this. But, like, that feels more like vicary, doesn't it? Wait. Is that better? Maybe that's more formal. So this is the Lord's Prayer, but if it was for guinea pig Jesus, really. So if you know the words, please pray along. Mark Farmer. That's your cue. So now every time. With art in Devon. Scrabble be thy game. My fingers numb. Stuff up the bum. On earth art still in Devon. Give us this day our braily dread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And we have dealt with the temptations. That would make sense if that thing had happened earlier. But deliver us an eagle. Completely forgot to do that bit. The irony of is that bit comes in the ADHD bit. Give me wine and I'll drink some. In the shower, Fuck the Tories. Forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. You could play that and then it'd play the pick. But it's done. Bye.
Joe Burkewood, yay! Thank you all for coming along and supporting.